Alright, February 12th. 12th. Internal level 4? What does that even mean? The sky was still pale gray. Was it dawn or dusk? It's hard to tell. The vast sky overhead and a wide field stretching out on all sides. The sky seemed close enough to touch. Clouds low enough to grab hold of. This was one of the battlefields she fought on. But there was no longer any cavalry in her service. The sprawling golden meadow was gone. Instead, unfolding under the dull sky, was the remnants of a battlefield. Oh, I'm dreaming. No emotion. She must have seen this kind of thing almost daily. Her desolate heart was empty. As she leaned against the golden sword, she exhaled deeply and let her shoulders relax. The battle must have ended. After glancing over the bodies of the defeated soldiers, she returned to her camp. Those were the battles she experienced. Her cold, calm demeanor remained unchanged. No matter the predicament she's been in, she remained just like the woman I've always known. And then I see the dream of a king. The moment she drew the sword, she stopped being human. She took over for her father as a feudal lord and became a king with many knights. She was known as King Arthur and Altria. The life of the girl who once aspired to be a knight changed so radically. She acted like she was the king's son. The ruler of territories and knights had to be male. Only her father and the mage knew the king was female. She covered herself in iron and hid that truth for the rest of her life. There were those who had their suspicions. But the king of knights who wielded the sacred sword knew neither injury nor age. Excalibur was blessed with the protection of the fairies, making its possessor immortal. As such, nobody questioned her tiny frame, which was much too small for a knight, or her face, which may have appeared girlish. Instead, she was hailed as a truly beautiful king. And in fact, the king was invincible. Neither size nor appearance mattered. Those who lived in fear of the savage invaders desired a strong king, and the valiant knights who would follow only a truly superior leader. The king satisfied each of these conditions, and so nobody questioned the king's identity. It did not matter if the king was a child or a woman. All that mattered was that the king protected the nation. The new king was fair and selfless, and always stood on the front line, fighting and defeating the nation's enemies on the battlefield. Many enemies and citizens died, but the king was always just, and she played her role as king better than anyone else. There was no room to suspect otherwise, and any such suspicions would be pointless while the king was right in any case. She knew no defeat on the battlefield. Her army reformed the lost cavalry, and then charged across the battlefield, defeating foreign infantry and smashing through their defenses. Did she always stand on the front lines because her nation was behind her? Before she headed out to battle, she had to cast aside so many citizens. Once she was on the battlefield, she had to cut down all her enemies. As her battles were fought in defense of her nation, it was common to wring villages dry to support the army. In that sense, no knight killed as many as she did. I can't tell if she ever really felt that burden. It's not something I can really know from a dream. But I do know she didn't have a moment's doubt or hesitation on the battlefield. Grief never touched her thoughts when she sat on the throne. A king is not human. Human emotions would make it impossible to protect people. She kept her oath, never wavering. You know, this actually brings up kind of interesting, almost philosophical point of like, especially in the modern day, most people are never going to be put in the position where they like end up being responsible for killing someone, you know? Like, only if you're put in some sort. Yeah, I guess if you like join the military or police, you know, you're putting yourself in that position, or potentially if you end up in a life or death sort of self-defense situation, that can occur. But by and large, most people in the modern day don't have to deal with that. But it is sort of interesting, like a head of state, though. Any head of state, right? I'm not even saying just like the bad ones that insert whichever world leader you dislike here. But even the ones that like are considered to be, good or, generally, decent people. It kind of comes with the job of being, I'll say it, directly responsible for a lot of death, right? Any sort of order for military, like, intervention somewhere. And, if you're the president and you're signing off on that, you're signing the death warrants on, hundreds, thousands, maybe even up to like the millions of people, which is, I do kind of wonder, because obviously I've never been in that position, but how does one deal with that mentally, like emotionally? To know, like, even if you believe your choices were justified and what had to be done for the sake of the good of your nation, to still know that you were responsible for snuffing out tens, hundreds of thousands of lives, potentially. It's an interesting headspace to explore, potentially, I think. Mordred is best girl? But she's not in this novel. Dude, you get my hopes up and then you crush them within like a sentence? Anyways, she kept her oath, never wavering. She addressed the issues facing her nation, and she worked on matters of political concern. She ruled without wavering, and she punished the deserving without error. And after winning so many battles, unifying so many clans, and punishing hundreds of criminals, King Arthur doesn't have a human heart. One of the knights in her entourage murmured this. Everyone must have felt the same way. The more perfectly she carried herself as king, the more everyone questioned their monarch. There's no way someone devoid of human emotion can rule humans. Several reputable knights left the White Castle of Camelot, but the king accepted this as inevitable, and incorporated it into her rule. And so the fair king, once so admired by her knights, began to isolate herself. Such trivialities were of no concern to the king. Even if she was deserted, feared, or betrayed, her heart would remain unchanged. It couldn't be helped. The moment she took that sword, she abandoned her emotions. And then her final battle began. The battle at Badon Hill ended in a complete victory, and that inescapable conclusion led to the savage clans finally offering peace. And so the nation that had been holding its breath, waiting to be destroyed, knew a moment of peace. The age of warfare, where a nation leaned on a singular hero, came to an end. Britain was finally going to become the nation she'd always dreamed of. The scene starts to fade away. I realize the dream is ending and I'm about to wake up. I can feel myself drifting closer to wakefulness. But before that happens, something really pissed me off. She's stupid. Oh, she's strong and a gifted fighter. But there's a difference between being good at fighting and being cut out for it. The people around her pissed me off too. If she didn't notice it, someone else around her should have told her, or she would go on making the same mistake forever. Seriously, how the hell did you have so many people around her and not one told her the truth? Well, this is an encouraging place to be. Been a while since I've been at my home, despite the fact that like the first portion of the game was like 80% here. I wake up. We escaped Illya's forest and returned home yesterday afternoon. Tosaka went back to her room, complaining her stomach hurt, and I mean, fair enough, considering what she went through. And my headache wasn't getting any better, so we all decided to just go to sleep. It must have been the extra weight, or it must have been the extra weight I was lugging around. As soon as I got into bed, I couldn't get back up. Saber was the only one who seemed fine, and Tosaka and I left her to guard the house while we slept. And then... So, I slept for half a day. At least my headache's gone. I'm relieved. The whole thing with Berserker... It occurs to me now, our terms for our alliance with Tosaka was the alliance will hold until Berserker is dead, and now Berserker is dead. So... But she's not really in the Grail War at this point, because Archer's dead, so, like... I don't know where that makes... where we stand now. The headache I got after copying Saber's sword was unreal. If it had kept up, my head might well have just split down the middle. How many servants are left? Good question. I think we're down to 4. We must be, right? Because... yeah, there was, what, 7 initially. We killed Ryder. Killed Berserker. Archer fell to Berserker. So as far as we're aware, Lancer, Saber, Caster, and Assassin are still at large. So I guess we're doing pretty well. And honestly, now that we've killed Berserker and Ryder, like, and we've unlocked this like, insanely powerful ability. I mean, honestly, I think we've got to be the odds-on favorite to win this war at this point, right? Like, who could challenge us now? Then I notice... Huh? Saber is sitting on the floor, right next to my head. Saber? Why are you glaring at me like that first thing in the morning? Did something happen while I was asleep? No, I simply had a dream. Oh, me too. They're fun, right? Huh? No, it is nothing. Let us have breakfast. It's time to wake up. Saber gets up and heads silently out of my room. What is that about? I don't know why Saber's acting strange. I'm really not sure, but... if she's sitting by my bedside the whole time, was she nursing me back to health? The moment I have that thought, the scene from last night comes back to me. What the hell am I thinking? I shake my head to rid myself of those impure thoughts. That night, my contact with Saber was entirely about my duty as a master. If I don't rationalize it like that, I'll never be able to look at Saber again. Calm thoughts. Calm thoughts. We acted normal when we were coming home yesterday. That's all I need to do. Be normal. No, I was actually just tired yesterday, but I still need to act normal. Besides, Saber wouldn't like me acting like this. Okay, I just need to calm down and make breakfast. I take a deep breath and get changed. It's 9 in the morning. Saber hasn't eaten since lunch yesterday, so she must be hungry. Nine is so late, it's practically not even morning anymore. As hungry as Saber must be, I should probably make a hearty breakfast. I don't know, it was... I mean, that's not a fact that I, like, specifically knew. But, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't surprise me. That's pretty common in the visual novel space, I think. So... anyways, as hungry as Saber must be, I should probably make a hearty breakfast. Shiro, is it just you and I this morning? Do we not need to wake Rin up? No, everyone's still asleep. Considering what happened yesterday, it's probably best to let them sleep. I'll leave their food out, and they can eat whenever they like. I see, then I would appreciate it if you prepared the meal quickly. It is much later than usual. I know, I feel better now, so let's head to the dojo once we finish eating. I mean, like, is a day of rest not appropriate right about now? Huh, the dojo? Do you intend to continue training with me? Why not? It's our daily routine. What's wrong, Saber? Did I say something weird? I'd probably still take the day off after the Heracles fight, but it's admirable to get back in the saddle, like immediately thereafter, I suppose. Oh no, I just assumed you would no longer be training. Okay, see, now that is something. Now I've got to take the other side of the argument here. Saber, that's ridiculous, okay? I literally just unlocked the power where I can copy, like, your legendary sword and wield it for myself, and you think now is the opportune time to stop sword training with me? Now that I actually have, like, benefit from wielding a sword in battle? Really? With Berserker defeated, I thought there would be no further reason for you to continue training as we had been. Well, there's still 3 other servants we gotta worry about. I see. You know, you may be right. No, she's not. The common enemy we all share in Berserker is gone now. We teamed up to take on an enemy far stronger than us, and that's also why I trained so furiously in such a short period of time. I'd like to keep training. I'm still an untrained mage, and I get to see the real you when you wield a sword. That makes it easier for me to talk to you, too. Well, I say easy, but what I mean is that I kind of enjoy it. So I reveal my true self when I'm in the dojo. You sure do. At least you don't hold back. I prefer it that way. Besides, I think you get to loosen up as well. Anyway, our routine has been us sparring in the mornings, so don't take the few pleasures I have. I take the ground beef and pork, green onions, mushrooms, okay, we got green onions, and we also have normal onions and eggs out of the refrigerator, and head to the kitchen. That could be like a nice little omelette there, perhaps? All I need is panko, sake, and cooking oil. So panko is breadcrumbs, I believe. Sake is alcohol. I think we could all use a drink after that. This is water, for the record. Ah. Oh, then I have no objections. Is that a new Saber post? I don't think I've seen that one before. Huh? Saber mumbles quietly to herself in the living room while I work. I can't quite hear what she's saying from the kitchen. Smack smack, pound pound. I mix onions, panko, sake, egg, salt with flour, or with 400 grams of ground beef and pork, and knead it all together. Oh, is this more like a sort of like a breaded sort of beef and pork deal? I don't know what he's making. I decided to be bold today, so I'm making stewed Japanese-style hamburger steak for breakfast. Sounds neat. Rin, are you awake? Saber's voice drifts out from the living room. Dosaka? I glance back over my shoulder as I cook. Right, I forget she's not a morning person. Morning! Hey, I'm going to pour myself a cup of milk, Shiro. Dosaka comes in looking grumpy and grabs a carton of milk from the fridge. Slept too much. My head hurts. Hey, what's this? You're really going all out this morning, aren't you? Where'd that grumpy face she'd been making a second ago go? Her eyes are practically sparkling now. Did you actually get to see Archer fighting Berserker in this, or did they cut away for the whole fight? As I recall, I believe, yeah, we were fleeing, cut to there. And then we got to see Illya reacting to sort of the aftermath of the fight, but we didn't really see the fight itself. No. Is that so? Well, she's the one who gets to enjoy herself here, not me. Reminds me of what my old man used to say. Someone gains, someone else loses. I felt this before, but you got a keen eye. Huh, I'm just a discerning sort. Looking forward to this breakfast you're making, though. Oh, do they show the fight itself in the anime, I wonder? Sounds like you've seen the anime better, I believe. She waves as she heads back to the living room. With a glass of milk in one hand, Tosaka plops down at the table. Seriously. I don't know where she gets off acting like king of the castle here in my house. You're certainly lazy today, Rin. Can't we all just take a rest day? Like, come on. We don't need you whipping us into shape like a drill sergeant today, Saber. Yeah, way to go, Saber. She's saying everything I wish I could. However, Tosaka dismisses Saber's criticism nonchalantly by just agreeing with her. Of course I'm lazy now. It's Berserker gone now, we just have to deal with Caster, Lancer, and Assassin. They're nothing compared to Berserker. Should be a cakewalk for Saber. Okay, though I do wonder, though. We've killed 2 servants. Including what was, by consensus, the most powerful servant in the whole game. In the whole war. That's... And as I said before, that, I think, clearly puts us as the odds-on favorite to win this whole thing. I do wonder, though, if word gets around about that, might the others see us as a threat and team up against us? Because that would be bad, I think. That would not be great. Hmm. You do not know that defeating Lancet Assassin may not be as straightforward as you think. And we have yet to meet Caster. Don't be so humble. No ordinary heroic spirit is any match for King Arthur. When did we tell Rin about that, or is it just obvious now? You've solved your magical energy problem? So there's no servant who can best you now. Yeah, so they did show it in the anime. Interesting. I don't begrudge them for not showing it here, because they do seem to stick to pretty strict, like, point of view rules for the most. Well, I guess they did show us Illya's. Never mind then. Anyway, Saber narrows her eyes at Tosaka. I have the same reaction. We shouldn't let what Tosaka says there just go by. Tosaka, do you know who Saber is? I had a hunch, but yes, I confirmed my suspicions. Only one hero can wield a sacred sword like that. I mean, I was a little surprised to learn that the legendary King Arthur was a girl, but I can't really argue against that when she's sitting right in front of me. Besides, legends are rewritten all the time, right? I don't know if Saber was the one who hid it, or if the people around her did, but I guess there was a problem with having a girl being King Arthur, being king in medieval times. So I don't blame them for saying she was a man. Yeah. More uncommon, certainly not unprecedented though, right? I mean, there's plenty of queens in the medieval era. Though it is true that often that gives them a bit of a upwards or an uphill battle with regards to legitimacy being seen as a credible threat and whatnot. Tosaka's tone remains the same. Saber at least doesn't seem to mind. If anything, she seems to agree with Tosaka. She certainly doesn't seem about to argue. She's basically acknowledged the fact. A hero with a connection to the sword is selected to be the Saber servant. Based on that alone, she would absolutely make for the best Saber. The heroic symbol of Britain. The wielder of a sacred sword so famous she's even known in this faraway land. Oh, hold on, I just want to double check something real quick. So servant, Lancer is... I wish I knew who Chulang is. I think he's Irish though, right? Yeah, great hero of Ireland. That'll be a fun matchup. Have the Brits speed up on the Irish a bit. So if that hasn't happened enough times in history already. Anyways, but then, what of it? The legend of King Arthur ends with the king's death. Even heroes are still human. Their stories usually end in death, but no hero dies a proper death. King Arthur was no exception. If I remember correctly, King Arthur died in battle. At the Great Battle of Comlan. After unifying Britain and supposedly having no more foreign enemies to defeat, King Arthur was drawn into conflict with an unsuspected enemy in the end. It was the treachery of her own army, the knights she vowed to protect and fought alongside for so long, that led to King Arthur's death. King Arthur defeated the army's leader, but took a fatal wound in the battle, and so entrusted her only surviving knight, Bedivere, with the task of returning the sacred sword to where it belonged. Travel across this bloody battlefield to over the hill. You'll find a deep lake. Throw this sword into that lake. But Bedivere did not fulfill that final duty. Fearing the implications of losing the sword, Bedivere falsely reported not once but twice that he had thrown it into the lake. Each time King Arthur once more ordered Bedivere to throw the sword away. Finally, on his third attempt, Bedivere was able to fulfill his king's wishes. It is said that King Arthur died after making certain the sword had been returned. So, Shiro, what do you plan to do now? Tosaka suddenly turns to glare at me. What do you mean, plan to do? Check out that dangerous girl sleeping in the Japanese-style room right now. Did we bring Illya with us? Is that what she's... Why would we do that? Like, I know she doesn't have Berserk anymore, but also, she's a powerful mage that might, you know, have an axe to grind with us, potentially. I told you to leave her alone, but you insisted on carrying her here. I also have something to say on the subject. Though she has lost Berserker, Elyasville remains a dangerous master. I question your decision to shelter her. Especially considering the fact that she, you know, owns a mansion. Like a literal castle. A palace. So, like, it's not as if she was desperate for shelter, Shiro. Yep, you should just leave her with Kirei. Yeah, I guess that's the other option, too. The two glare at me as one. That's right. The moment Berserker disappeared, Illya fainted. She showed no sign of waking up, and I couldn't just leave her, so I brought her back home. What's that? The fourth girl we've invited to stay with us at some point? Well, I guess technically we never invited Sakura to stay with us. She just basically lived here during the mornings and evenings until we kicked her out due to, you know, the war and whatnot. Of course, Tosaka and Saber objected, so I carried her myself. A master who loses their servant either flees before another master kills them, or is protected by the church. Tosaka says we should let Kotomine take care of her, but I don't think that priest would take very good care of Illya, so I'm having her stay in one of our spare rooms. Oh, come on, Shiro. You don't need to be that worried about the priest taking care of Illya. This is a full, like, you know, where this takes place is a full, like, what, 5-10 years before the that one scandal of the Catholic Church broke out? Sorry, that joke may have been in bad taste. I'm sure Kotomine is a great, upstanding guy. Shiro, your actions here are commendable, but it is dangerous to get involved with Elyasville. It is not too late. We may either send her to the church or seize her command spells. Saber's serious. Change your mind won't be easy. Do you have a problem? I mean, I couldn't just leave her alone. Illya's just a kid, and she wasn't herself. I'd feel bad leaving her with Kotomine. You'd feel bad? Or, no, hold on. You'd feel bad? How can you say that with a straight face after everything she did to us? I agree. You have too much empathy for Elyasville. She tried to kill you many times. See, this is true, but... you know... I got nothing. Okay, now Saber's giving me the death glare, along with Tosaka. Although Saber's is more impactful, I think. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I see it less often, so it retains more force and power. Or maybe it's just like that look. It's not just like I'm upset with you, it's like I'm disappointed in you deeply. The two are more united than ever. But I need to stand my ground. Illya was our enemy, but she never had any malice for us. Aside from all the times she tried to kill us. As long as she has a good influence, she won't do any more harm. And I said this at the start. I'm not fighting to kill masters, I'm fighting to end the battle. I know that, but... Saber's tone softens, though she's clearly not convinced. But... Oh yeah? So you're going to forgive Ilya for everything she's done? Let me tell you something. She's attacked other masters, and you don't know how many masters she might have killed. You're going to save her even so? Well, I mean, if she killed other masters, then quite frankly, that actually makes our job easier. Well, yeah? Illya admitted she killed Shinji after I let him go. Oh, right, yeah, that. Forgot about that. Yeah, he was a jerk anyway. I wonder how his sister's doing, though. Shinji used Rider to try to kill everyone at school. If that's what he did as a master, I suppose his death was inevitable. But Shinji was a friend of mine for years. For some reason. And thinking of Sakura, I can't just write off what Illya did. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, and granted, I'm a certified Shinji hater, I admit it. Sorry, guilty as charged, but, and look, I get it, he's a brother, and, like, whenever, lost in the family, it's not great. But he was actually literally abusive towards her, so, I mean, quite frankly, I think this is probably a quality of life improvement for Sakura, so, honestly, we should probably be thanking Illya for that, if anything. Sorry if that comes across. It's not that well, I was gonna say sorry if that comes across as a bit cold, but it's not. I'm not cold. I just care about Sakura's well-being more than Shinji did by a wide margin. But that means there's no chance at closure. Even if Illya is no longer master, as long as she can reflect and feel remorse, I think we should save her. Okay, you might be right. But I, for one, won't ever forgive her for what she did to Archer. She killed my Archer. I guess there's that too. Yeah. But I guarantee you that you do not hate him enough? I find that unlikely. He's like my least favorite character in the whole game. He's a certified jerk. He tried to kill a whole school. He's abusive to his sister. He's just generally an unpleasant person. He's mean to Chisaka. Like, I can't think of a single good thing he did, honestly. We're at an impasse here. We all freeze, staring at each other. But then... Oh, come on. All servants disappear in the end anyway. If you're so worried about that, you fail as Master Rin. Okay. Alright, so, Illya, so here's the deal. Illya. I'm trying to get them on your side here. Coming out and being this harsh and cold to the people I'm trying to convince you're a decent person is not the best way to go about this. Okay, Illya? Alright. Glad we got that. Yes. Sorted. The very girl under discussion appears. Wait till the third draft. Hold it, I have no business with you two. I don't have any intention of fighting. So don't get so angry at me. Honestly, I'm embarrassed for you two. Just as fellow ladies. You're older than me, but you're sorely lacking in manners. Illya shrugs, looking disgusted. What did you say? And them's fighting words. And she is talking to... And Chisaka's a, relatively high-class individual. And Saber is literal royalty, so like... I'm curious to see Illya's case here. Saber and Chisaka are once again in sync. A whole new kind of intensity comes over them. Well, I'm not going to get into that with you. I don't have time to deal with the two of you right now. Illya turns from them to face me. Illya? I'd like to thank you, Master of Saber, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being so concerned about me, even though I was your enemy. Huh. I said Illya in disbelief. So sudden is this that even Saber goes quiet. Tosaka just keeps drinking her milk, giving Illya the stink eye. And then, Illya smiles that familiar smile of hers. Just kidding. If you sure are my brother. She launches herself right at me and hugs me around the neck. Ugh. What's going on? Tosaka spits out her milk. What the? I can almost hear the vein popping in Saber's forehead. Unhead you insolent fool! Saber rushes toward me. Illya twists around, swinging to my back. Huh. Who's being uncivil here? A servant like you has no right to command me. I have neither obligation nor intent to obey you. If you will speak so brazenly, then you will remove yourself from Shio's presence this instant. I'm not listening to you. Hey, Shiro, let's do the same thing we did last night. You gave me a piggyback ride, right? When did I do that? Oh, right. Bringing her to the house. Okay, that's what she's referring to. I was thinking back to when I was captured, which wasn't even last night, so... yeah. Illya spins around me. Oh, she's agile if she can avoid Saber. Saber hurries after her, trying to catch her. This is bad. What specifically is bad? Well, it's just bad. The two can't stop glaring at each other. It must be because Tosaka's just watching from afar, but... she just wipes the milk off her mouth as if nothing is happening and says... Look, I don't care what you do, but if you keep that up, you're going to kill him. Huh? The two peer curiously at me. It's pretty clear. My neck's getting wrenched around. Oh, right! She's still hanging on to it. Oh, jeez. My neck's getting wrenched around. I now face the greatest danger of my life. Okay. Let's review the current situation. The hamburg steak I've been working so hard on is packed away in the freezer. First, there's Tosaka. She's being relatively quiet. She seems to be keeping a straight face, and looks like she's just going to watch things play out. But who can say what she might be thinking to herself? What is it, Shiro? Illya, I was having my internal monologue, alright? Do not interrupt me when I'm having my internal monologue. That is rule number 1 of this household. Ilya's sitting next to me, and for some reason, she looks like she's in a good mood. She's looking curiously around the living room, but it doesn't look like Saber or Tosaka are much concerned to her. Whatever either of them might say is likely to go in one ear and out the other. And then there's the one I'm most concerned about. Saber. She's glaring anxiously at both me and Illya. She's not usually so fidgety and restless. It feels like I'm resting on a bed of nails. So I can't leave things like this. Actually, here being on a bed of nails isn't actually that bad because, well, there's so many nails that your weight is like dispersed over like a bunch of them, so they don't actually like pierce you that badly. You think Shiro stares off into space for minutes at a time while having his internal monologue? No. Though, have you seen the like YouTube videos that people do where they like edit? I think they most commonly do it with like Death Note, but I'm sure they probably do it with other animes too. Where they like edit all the internal monologue out of the scene and just have it so they're just sitting there silently for like minutes. Though I will say, that one of the more common scenes I see done with, because it's funny, but one of the more common scenes I see done with that on Death Note is the scene in like the diner or whatever restaurant where L is asking Light to like analyze the messages, and that is actually one of the few scenes where it's like, no, it actually makes a whole lot of sense he'd be silent for several minutes while he's like looking this over. Like, of all the scenes to use as the example, like the prime example, that one is the one where it actually makes kind of the most sense in the universe, honestly. Because, I mean, he's examining the things. He's got to, think about that for a moment. Anyways, I don't know what is going to come of this, but I have to do something about the situation. Let's settle this. If we keep this up, it'll drag out until lunch. At least. Maybe even to dinner. Can we really sit by and tolerate as not just breakfast, not just lunch, maybe also dinner, 3 of our whole meals in our life, in our short lives, are ruined by this animosity flowing through the household? I say no. You're right, we've already come to a conclusion, so we should get rid of the problem as soon as possible. Isn't that right, Saber? Oh, hold on, that's not what I was going to suggest. That is correct, Rin. And I are in agreement, so we just need to convince Shiro. Well, hold on a moment, hold on. Right, we could do this democratically, right? So Rin votes to kick Illya out, Saber votes to kick Illya out, I, however, don't vote to kick Illya out, which you would think means we're outvoted and we're kicking Illya out. But, because Illya is currently a member of the household, Illya gets a vote too. And I'm assuming she doesn't want to get kicked out. So, I mean, that just puts us at a tie there, and if there's a tie, we can't take such a drastic step as kicking a member of the household out, certainly. Saber is really digging her heels in. But also, my house, my rules, so, like, deal with it. Huh? Hey, Shiro. What do Rin and Saber want to talk about? Or take out. I want to talk about what we should do with you. You lost your servant, so we want to know what you plan to do from now on. There's only 2 obvious options. Either take her to the church for shelter, or send her back to her castle in the forest. Her staying here is out of the question. Do you feel the same way, Shiro? Illya looks at me, her face emotionless. I mean, did she try to kill us several times over? Yes. Did she try to, take away my autonomy and have me be like her personal servant for the rest of my days? Also, yes. Did she successfully kill Rin's servant, effectively knocking her out of the Grow War? Also, yes. But, if she's friendly now, isn't it a good thing to have another mage in the house to protect things, right? Right? Maybe. And what motive would she have to not? To turn on us at this point? She can't win the Grail War anymore. Oh, it's a decision. I don't know. This is a tough one, like, to be honest. Because Illya's character is so weird. I don't really feel like I've got that strong of a grip on, like, her. Like, she seems, like, really nice some of the time. Until she gets, like, serious and tries to literally kill you. But she's not in the war anymore. It's like, we could shelter her in theory. I'm kind of curious to see just where that goes. He's like a fun character, so having her around more often would be fun, at least. But, I mean, it's certainly introducing a new variable to the situation that could backfire. I don't know. I mean, it all comes down to your reading of Illya as a character, right? Because she could be a decent asset to the team if she's actually on the team. But if she's not on this team, then we're signing our own death warrant here. She seemed a lot more friendly since Berserker died. And again, I don't know what her motive would be. And she does seem to have a certain sort of twisted fondness for me as well. Wait. I don't like I think we'll roll the dice on this one, I guess. Let's go. Let's roll with it. It'll be fun at least. She might bring us down, but it'll be a fun ride. Kuretsu always told me to protect girls. I don't like seeing kids suffer. Well, I think Illya should stay here. The Holy Grail War isn't over. I'm to shelter Illya until the last of the masters are taken care of. Yep, if Shira says so, I'll stay here. Hey, Illya, you're choking me. I can't breathe. I intend to pry Illya off from me, but before I get a chance, Saber steps over and does it for me. What's with you? You've been getting in my way this whole time. You have some sort of problem with me? Of course I do. I will never forget what you did to Shiro. And you, Shiro, do you still not understand that nothing good will come of sheltering Illysville? What about it? Illya doesn't have a servant anymore, so she's not dangerous. She's no longer a master. Besides, how would you feel if she got attacked after we abandoned her? Illya's life would be in danger, and the other masters might gain power from her. Yes, that might be true, but... Saber hesitates. Now, what she says, Saber understands that another master might attack Illya if we leave her alone. Then it's my turn to argue. I'm sorry to jump in after you've convinced Saber, but I don't agree. Look, Shiro, she's still master. She may have lost her servant, but I also told you that as long as she has command spells, she is still a master. Good one there, baby. Good one. She says that. Tosaka just butts in while she sips her tea. Hey, what's that supposed to mean, Tosaka? I'm saying that as long as she has her command spells, she can form a contract with as many servants as she wants. They're stray servants who don't have masters, and as long as a master has the capacity to take in that stray servant, they can form contracts with as many as they want. What the heck? Right, I think we went over this before. Like, in theory, if you kill the master and the servant survives, the servant can find a new master, I believe. So if there's a capable master around, they can form contracts with as many servants as they want. Not exactly as many as they want. The Holy Grail War can only call upon 7 hero experience, so 7 would be the maximum. Though no matter how capable a mage is, they couldn't have enough magical energy to power multiple servants. Even if they did, they would have to divide their own magical energy in half to supply the 2 servants. That would weaken the servants, which would make forming multiple contracts difficult and pointless. I see. So if I formed a contract with Saber and Berserker, they would have to split my magical energy between them to maintain their existence, which would drastically weaken both of them. That means it would make more sense to keep one servant and supply them with magical energy. Now that you mentioned, didn't you say servants could change masters? Is this what you meant? Oh, look at you, catching on for a change. And you're right, Shiro. That's how servants changing masters goes. Servant who's lost their master has some time before disappearing, so if in that time they can find a master who's seeking a servant and form a contract, they'll be fine. Yeah, it occurs to me, Rin still really wants to win this. And she is still a master, but lacks a servant. And I have a servant. We'll need to keep an eye on her going forward. Because, like, I'm not saying she is going to kill me in my sleep or something to steal Saber from me. But I'm not saying she's not going to be preying on my downfall. Yeah, so that's why you can't let your guard down with Rin, Shiro. She's still a master too. She might kill you and seize Saber. Or she might form a new contract with another surviving servant. See, Illyasville is speaking facts right now. This is why we take Illya in. Yep, and I could say the exact same thing at you, Illya. That's never going to happen. I don't intend on teaming up with another servant. My servant is and will only ever be Berserker. I don't know what kind of relationship Illya and Berserker had, but I do know that servant was special to her. That is a surprise, but at the same time it makes me happy. I'm happy to know that despite the fact that as master Illya was relentless, she still cherished her partner. Oh, but if Shiro loses, I'll take Saber. Okay, so apparently Illya might be preying on my downfall. How's that anyone other than Shiro win? But if Shiro loses, I'll win on his behalf. Well, that's kind of you, Illya, I guess. In your standard sort of weird, twisted Illya logical way. Illya says that proudly, just as she was starting to impress Saber and Tosaka. That is ridiculous. I'm Shiro's servant. I have no intention of becoming your servant. Huh? Well, I don't care anyway. I just want Shiro to win. Whether I win or Saber protects Shiro, it's all the same to me. Wait, hold on. I just want Shiro to win. Okay, logical sentence so far. Whether I win, I, in this instance referring to Illya, or Saber protects Shiro, it's all the same to me. Look. But if you win, then I don't win. Like, in your mind, those may be equivalent things. They're not the same thing to me. They... Huh? What a weird thing to say. Actually, if she wants me to win, why would she think like that anyway? See, this is what I'm saying. And then, Tosaka must have found it strange too. She starts to think. I certainly mind. I will not approve no matter what. Rin, please warn Shiro yourself. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Tell him what, Saber? About how we are against sheltering Illysville here. What? The retcon is that Illya is actually 18? Okay, so is she 18 or is she 18? Because I've seen I've seen like some of these sorts of games where it's like they'll have like a thing on like a little almost like disclaimer or something. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we know this whole game takes place entirely in like a high school setting with entirely characters attending high school who are specifically called out as being specifically like, you know, second years or third years or whatever in high school. But just so you're aware, they're all over 18. Every last one of them. So, nothing weird going on here. So, is it that? Yeah, these sorts of things can be so funny. Anyways, about how we are sheltering you here. Yes, yes. Prequel. Makes sense. Oh, that, I guess sheltering her here wouldn't be a terrible idea. Huh? Saber freezes. Okay, so we convinced Saber, but then Rin was unconvinced. But then Saber became unconvinced, and now Rin is convinced, and Saber's... Can we just get everyone on the same page here, please? I had advocated for this, and even I'm surprised that I don't blame the opposing Saber for being frozen in shock. Wait, have you lost your mind? No, if I think about this rationally, I see the risks are all the same. It doesn't matter whether we leave Illya alone, give her shelter here, or send her off to the church. It may even work out in our favor if masters come here looking for Illya. With Saber as she is now, she would be hard even for multiple servants to defeat if they attack together. That'd be the fastest way to end this Holy Grail war, and that's what you want too, isn't it, Saber? But if you think you'd lose to those servants, that's another story. Okay. Of course not, you understand my condition perfectly. As long as Shiro is my master, I cannot be defeated. Okay. I appreciate the confidence. Let's not overdo it, though, alright? Gotta have a healthy humility. A recognition of your own fallibility, so that you don't be taken unawares. Like Heracles. Right, then that sheltered Illya isn't a problem. I'm kind of suspicious. Why did Rin suddenly change her mind? Like, you were really against this, and now you're for it, and... Like, I'm glad you're agreeing with me, but on the other side, like, why? What's going on here? Yeah, something else. Shiro's decision might have actually been a really smart move. Oh, now she's just flattering me. Tasaka goes quiet. She must have convinced Saber, who reluctantly takes a step back from Illya.